Tom Curran's Patriots Talk podcast is presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into Tom Curran's Patriots Talk podcast, joined as always by the indefatigable Senator Phil Perry. This is the aftermath. Phil, there was no real Bailey bump on Sunday, was there? Although, before we get to the back and forth between us, Bill Belichick was semi-encouraged.
Some missed opportunities here today. I thought we had all the guys play really hard. We moved the ball, but we're on a long field. Just really didn't do a good job with field position, and couldn't play the complementary game that we need to play. Chargers did a couple times, got their 6 points, and obviously that was enough. So,
Phil, Albert Breer sent out a tweet saying, you know what? I think the Patriots, even though they haven't scored a point, look better today with Bailey Zappe. I didn't see that. And I think that's traceable to Bailey fatigue. I think it looked better than it did against Indianapolis and the other game, the Giants game. But I don't think that when you look at games against Washington or Buffalo, a few games here and there, there's plenty of games where you could say Mac Jones made plays that we haven't seen Bailey make, which is to be expected. He was only out there for 15 minutes relative to Mac. How about you take the ball now? Let me stop talking because you're there.
Yeah, and so I guess if you're comparing Bailey Zappe to what we've seen most recently from Mac Jones, I would say I thought today was an improvement, particularly in the second half. I thought the first half was pretty rough from Bailey Zappe when you look at it. The first throw of the game, slant, thrown behind its intended target, thrown behind Hunter Henry on a scramble drill, sort of roll out, bad throw, delay a game penalty. I thought its worst throw of the day was a little swing pass to Ezekiel Elliott where he just threw it to the wrong side of his body. He ends up falling incomplete. So it was pretty messy in the first half outside of a couple scrambles. But then I thought the second half, Tom, wasn't horrible. You had the deep over to Devontae Parker for 20-plus yards. You had a fade down the sideline that was knocked away, but I thought was accurate to Parker. You had another one later where he ended up having a foot out of bounds. But again, I didn't think that was a horrible throw by Bailey Zappe. I thought it was a good throw.
Let me interject. At least he kept that on the grid, by the way. Mac 100%. Has so frequently been off the field of play with those downfield throws.
The 4th and 2 scramble where he does a little Brett Favre pump, even though I think he was probably over the line of scrimmage, like that worked. First down, back shoulder to Devontae Parker. Good throw. Fade to Tyquan Thornton. Should have been caught. Good throw. On the run, stopping to Hunter Henry over the middle, sort of a little bit of a change of the arm angle kind of throw. I thought these were all positive plays from Bailey Zappe where, clearly because of a lack of receiver talent for the most part, they didn't always result in anything. But I did think that stuff was an improvement over what we've seen the last few weeks. But you're right.
Last 2 weeks.
Talk about Buffalo, talk about Philly. Like there's a handful of games where Mac Jones would have had a better game than this one, but not in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. And I said this during the first half when I saw, play-by-play grading of Jones as it seemed on social media. I'm like, I'm going to give the kid 20 plays offensively before I start logging any kind of real impressions on how it is, because he hasn't played all friggin' year. And this is his first opportunity and he sucked in preseason. He's been on ice for 11 weeks. I'm just not looking at somebody I see as certainly, and nobody does. There's not a single person who loyally listens to this podcast who's saying that Bailey Zappe is a starting level quarterback. Is he a suitable backup? But I just don't think it gave the bump. So for people clamoring perhaps for Bailey Zappe all these weeks, you didn't see him play better than Mac. It's just, give me a different face out there. I think Mac fatigue has set in for me too. So it's good to see it. I thought the post game was really interesting for a couple of reasons. There's 3 different questions I want to play here. The first is going to be Mike Giardi asking a question that's been swirling around for me about Mac Jones, asking Bill, what level of responsibility do you accept for the lack of development from Mac Jones?
Do you feel as though organizationally you've let Mac down a little bit? 3rd year, first-round quarterback, now on the bench.
Yeah. Just trying to put the best team we can out there every week.
Phil, before we get to your question, which finally elicited a great answer, here's Mike Reese's back and forth with Bill on the improvement of the offense or the state of the offense and whether he's surprised at where it is. A lot of question and answer here that I think is worth listening to.
Bill, how surprised are you at the lack of production from the offense?
I don't know.
What do you identify as maybe some of the missteps, that have contributed to the offense not producing this season?
Yeah, I just answered that question, Mike.
I guess I'm trying to figure.
Well, it's in the season review. We're talking about the game. Game was just over. Happy to talk about the game. I made my comments on it. I'm not going to get into a full season review if that's what you're asking. No.
I think the reason I was asking is it's just hard to fathom how the offense has dipped from where we saw it at the end of last year, and this is the way we communicate with you to fans who are curious the same question.
Yeah, I just told you what I thought about the game. We moved the ball. Didn't make enough plays to score.
Now, Phil, I think it's important to understand we don't love badgering Bill. We'd love him to be a little bit more transparent all the time. But when it comes right down to it, we ask the questions repeatedly because they need to be asked. And we ask them even after he doesn't answer them, because an insufficient answer doesn't mean that our bosses say, that's all right, he wouldn't answer it. I mean, sometimes they do. They understand what we're dealing with. But the onus is still on us to ask the question of the person that we cover to try and find out if he'll give us any insight. And I really believe, Phil, that Mike's badgering and finally saying to him, look, we're asking you questions because we are trying to elicit insight from the guy who makes the decisions to pass it on to the fans. I think that Mike saying that actually might have led to Bill finally folding his tent when you went after him and saying, all right, I'll answer the question. Here's Phil talking to Bill about the decision to finally go to Bailey Zappe.
Bill, you mentioned Bailey deserved to play. In your opinion, what did he show you to earn that responsibility?
He's worked hard all year.
So was it just until recently that he had shown you that he deserved the job, or was that something that he may have deserved earlier than today?
I said that he's worked hard all year, and I thought he deserved a chance to play. I made that decision last week.
Why not make that move sooner in the season?
Because we gave Mac his chance. We gave Mac the opportunity to, to work through, his progression with the offense, and obviously we haven't had a lot of production. I thought Bailey deserved a chance to play, so he played today.
I talked enough in setting those up. Phil, give me your insight from having been there and having been in more press conferences with Bill this year than I have, at what the tenor of those questions was like and what your reaction to his answer about Bailey and Mac was. Start with the latter first, maybe.
Yeah, so it's a pretty simple question, in my opinion, Tom. It just goes back to during the week, our back and forths with Bill Belichick over the quarterback position and who's going to start and why not announce a starter and what would be the benefit of announcing a start. Well, finally, he had made a decision that was clear for everybody to see. And so we have the opportunity then to ask those questions that we were trying to ask during the week that he just wouldn't touch because he wouldn't even acknowledge that Bailey Zappe was going to play. So they're pretty simple questions. I think they're fair. I think, just given the way Mac Jones has crumbled inward, that he doesn't have to go into, we're not looking for the moment, the play that really was the straw that broke the camel's back and the decision and the film room time and the discussions with Bill O'Brien. It's kind of obvious the reason as to why you would make the change to Bailey Zappe. We're just looking for some vocalization of that answer by the guy who made the call. And so, he says Bailey Zappe's, he's worked hard all year. Well, did he deserve it all year or did he just deserve it now? And then he actually finally, I think he kind of realized, well, I have to acknowledge that Mac had something to do with this year.
Yes. And that's not horrendous.
No, it's not.
I mean, and to me, it's not a betrayal of Mac. It's not bringing us into personal conversations as if these things are personal, as in, lawyer, client, priest, parishioner, doctor, patient. This is a friggin' football team, and 70,000 people show up to watch you. It's an entity that is in part owned by the region. You're just a steward. Try and explain why you're making the decisions. And even if we can deduce it it's still within the realm of questioning. Insanity. Oh, but Tom, you've been covering the team long enough. You know, that's how he does it. Well, the team was good. You could do that then when you want to just stiff arm the questions. When they suck and you can't explain why a player who was average to better than average and now can't even be put on the field, that's fair. What did you think of that question posed by Mike relative to why has Mac's development stunted?
Oh, Mike Giardi.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's a great question. And I think, I wonder how much responsibility Bill Belichick would even take privately for something like that. Does he look at it and say, well, clearly Devontae Parker's not very good and Juju Smith-Schuster's not very good? Or does he look at it and say, these guys are really like, man, if we just had someone else at quarterback, or if we had someone, the same quarterback with a different demeanor, it would have gone this way, that way. Look how great our defense is. I actually thought, I was surprised by how positive he was with his opening statement, Tom.
I was too.
But it's clear he's impressed by the effort his defense is giving, and we all should be. You allow 1.2 yards per carry in the run game. I don't care what the conditions are. That's pretty damn good. But you just got shut out at home for the second time this year. You are the first team in almost 100 years to allow 10 points or fewer 3 consecutive games and lose all 3. So there's a disconnect there in terms of what he's putting on the field. He said something along the lines of, I'm just trying to put together the best team I can every single week. But the way this offense is constructed, they don't have the ability offensively to be a good team on a consistent basis because they are so lacking in the talent department.
It's so funny. I mean, and we have passed it off for years and years and years. I'm just trying to do the best I can to put the best offense on the field every single week. Bill, I'm wondering, can you show me the team in the NFL that's not? Can you show me? These are baseline expectations. I'm doing what's best for the football team. We all get that. These are baseline expectations. And you fold your tent at times when what's best for the football team is a close call and it's moving on from one player or another. But when what's best for the football team gets to a point where it's a defensive coordinator calling plays or not staffing a tackle position or a wide receiver position adequately, or moving on from a productive player like Jacoby Myers, or the decline of a player who seemingly was decent before, it doesn't cut it. When you're that bad, you need more than, hey, I'm just trying to get out of bed, get to work, and do my job. Who is it? All that said,
one breath at a time, Tom, this podcast.
Yeah. As the weather gets colder, the NFL offers Stay Hot on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, I call them totals, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/NSBO and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. 21 plus and present in Mass. Hope is here. First online real money wager only. $5 pregame moneyline wager required. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling helpline, mass.org, or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support. Play it smart from the start. GameSenseMA.com or call 1-800-GAM-1234. Phil, the defense has been so outstanding, and I do understand that there is a tendency to look at, well, it's a Gardner Minshew, Sam Howell, Tommy DeVito troika that you just undressed. But those teams were scoring points before they got to the Patriots. The Colts were scoring points. The Commanders were scoring points. And the Giants were scoring points. So the Patriots shut teams down that had otherwise been putting up numbers. And then they shut down what by any measure is a decent quarterback in terms of talent in Justin Herbert. Does that further recommend to you Gerard Mayo as being deserving of being the heir apparent. He's performing with the group that he has, and Steve Belichick is too, and DeMarcus Covington and the rest. But he's motivating them. He's tapping into something with them, as are the other coaches.
That to me is the big reason why I would say yes, heir apparent, Gerard Mayo. It's not just that they're playing well. Well, number one, to me, it's they're playing well without two of their best players, arguably their two best players, in Matthew Judon and Christian Gonzalez. But they are staying motivated enough, energized enough to continue to come to work every day, every week, and put together dominant performances. I know the Chargers couldn't catch today, and if they could, it might have been a much different game, much different score. But this is consistent now, week to week. When you are lacking, especially at the cornerback position, they're still running J.C. Jackson out there, Tom. And Jonathan Jones, to me, looks a little bit banged up. And Jabril Peppers is basically being forced to play free safety very consistently because they never found a true Devin McCourty replacement. And
Team MVP, Jabril Peppers?
He might be. Yeah, I guess it'd be in the running for me between him and Christian Barmore, but he's been, I think, more consistent than Barmore has since week one. So, yeah.
Offense, defense, that's including everybody? I got some Barringer pushback.
No, I'd go Peppers one. He brings it every week, and so I think they have some good leadership on that side of the ball. But I'd start with Mayo, and for him to get them performing the way they are in a lost season, I think is a huge achievement.
And here is Jabril Peppers speaking about, honestly, again, I love the kid because he's honest. Here he is speaking honestly about what the team needs to do.
Like I said, man, we gotta play better complementary football. You know, you just can't play well on one side of the ball, whatever phase that is. You know, we gave up a big kick with punt return, got them in scoring position. And then, you know, being aggressive got them in scoring position. So as a defense, you know, our job is to negate the bleeding no matter when we get called out there. You know, we try to execute.
And John, for the hell of it, last week, coming off the field, he spoke to former teammate Saquon Barkley and said, "We are, you lucky we asked." Fair comment that you're whispering to a friend. And here was his very mature and stand-up response to having said that from the locker room last Friday.
I just want to apologize to my teammates and the coaches, you know, for even having to answer questions about that. You know, we got more important things to worry about than, you know, me being caught on the hot mic. You know, but, you know, at the end of the day, you know, we 2-9. We got a top 5 pick in the draft that didn't come via trade. And, you know, we all know the standard. We all know what it's supposed to look like, and it's not that right now. You know, it's not no shot at anybody in the locker room. I said we. You know, we own that. I own that. You know, we have good players, great players in the locker room, but every team has great players.
I love the guy. There are plenty of guys for this team to build around. Phil, 2 home games remaining on the Patriots' regular season schedule. It seems like the playoffs are out of reach right now. Was there any kind of a Bill Belichick applause, salute, appreciation that you saw exhibited today at Gillette Stadium from the fans that seem aware that there might be 120 minutes left of his coaching career here?
Not that I could tell. Now, sometimes you actually get a better sense for how the crowd sounds on the broadcast than you do in the press box, Tom. So I don't know if you could hear anything along those lines, but no, I would say far from it.
Yeah,
I would say the booing that we heard at the end of the first half was appropriate in terms of capturing the fan reaction here. And I give the fans that were at this game, and I'm not trying to sound patronizing or whatever, like they chose to come here. This is, you know, they're spending money to come here. This is a choice that they've made because they want to support their team. But I give them so much credit because it sucked outside. It was wet and cold and miserable. And the 200 level was, I would say, about a quarter full based on my estimations. But, you know, so it wasn't like it was a great turnout. But I give the people who were here a lot of credit to watch that performance in that weather and stay as long as some of them did. And I don't blame them at all. I mean, if you were at this game today, you more than earned your right to boo the team at halftime. And it was an awkward end of the half, too. I don't know if you caught this on the broadcast.
Oh, yeah.
Bailey Zappe and the offense just standing there looking at the sideline, awaiting instruction as their teammates and coaches start to file off and walk to the locker room. And they were standing there with a good 30, you know, whatever it was in the play clock that was left, just standing there.
No one let him know.
just hanging around. And they finally eventually were booed once it was clear that they were, in fact, going into halftime. So tough one, just a tough one to watch. And I don't know if Bill Belichick is going to get that kind of send off that you're describing, Tom.
Yeah.
Unless it's, a
No
great
Bob
performance.
Cousy, no John Havlicek, no Yaz, no Cam Neely, no Larry Bird, no Patrice Bergeron. None of those appreciation days maybe for Bill. Unless they can get, never mind. We get plenty of time to get into that stuff. Phil, the breakdown on Monday night, he'll be all over it with Ted Johnson. And of course, Quick Slants on Tuesday. And we'll have another pod coming at you on Tuesday. Peace out, Girl Scouts. Happy holidays.